everyone, it's Carrie from Carrie's Wreath Creations. I am here today with a rainbow flower design to show you. So if you're new to my channel, please make sure to subscribe and check out all the videos that have been previously posted. I have some great videos for beginners that show you kind of all the tips and tricks for making petals, using the Unique in the Creek boards, but I'll go through some of those things here, but just know that if you have additional questions, you'll want to check out my channel. So as far as supplies needed for this project, you're going to use a small Unique in the Creek board. Okay, I will leave my affiliate link in the description box below. But these are great for making flower style wreaths. So again, this is the small board. We are going to be using 6-inch zip ties. So I have a whole supply of them here. I actually have a wreath already started. I kind of decided I would record this after I already started. So we'll get to this in a second, but you will need 8 pieces of red poly burlap. I'm gonna set that aside for now. You're gonna need 8 pieces of purple. Okay, I know I'm a little off camera here. I just have it off to the side because I don't need it quite yet. And then you're gonna need, I have royal blue here and orange, 4 pieces of each, and then 3 pieces of yellow, and I am using emerald green, 3 pieces of that. So it's 8 red, 8 purple, 4 orange, 4 royal blue, 3 yellow, 3 emerald green. And you can swap this out if you wanted to use lavender instead of purple, if you wanted to use regular blue or navy, if you wanted to use lime green or some other shade of green, totally up to you. You're also going to need something for the center. I've already made my center. I'm completing an order, and this customer chose a white corded rope center. This is a 4-inch styrofoam ball that's been cut in half, and the corded rope came from Hobby Lobby. I attached a pipe cleaner with some hot glue and a floral pin. You can check out the description box below, and I will show you a demonstration of how to make this center yourself just with different materials. But it's 4 inches. And then I'm going to be using my zip tie gun here. So this is nice because it tightens and clips the zip ties. And this is found in my Amazon affiliate shop, which you can find that link in the description box below. As far as the poly burlap, you can get that a number of places. Unique in the Creek, where I get the boards, does sell the poly burlap. It does come in a roll. This is cut into 10 by 10 inch squares, and I use a wood burning tool. You can check out, there is a video showing you how I wood burn. So again, all these things that I'm kind of going a little bit faster on, you can check out my channel has all the tips and tricks for beginners, how to cut the burlap and making the center, and even how to load the board. I'm going to go ahead and just show you how I'm going to load my board, and then we'll switch to the board that's already loaded. But so if you're new to Unique in the Creek boards, you're going to see that this is, again, small board. It's labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're not going to use row 1. You could, it'll just make a bigger wreath and you'll need more materials, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be using rows 2, 3, and 4. Now on row 2, this is the top right here, okay? On row 2, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting 16 zip ties, and what I'm going to do is, instead of using the pairs of holes, so you have pairs that are closer together and then you have like this one extra, that's actually going to have 2 zip ties running through it. So here's the number 2, okay? So what I'm going to be doing is putting a zip tie through I'm looking at the board, to the right of the number 2, and then it's going to go up through that single hole that's by itself, okay? And when we load the board, you just put the zip tie in till it clicks a couple of times, just like this, okay? So again, there's the number 2. So just to the right of it is where I inserted my first zip tie, and it's coming up through the hole that's by itself. Now I'm going to go down through that hole and up through the next one. Okay, so down through the same hole that I just came up. So that single hole is going to have 2 zip ties running through it. Okay, just like this. Okay, 2 zip ties coming from this single hole. Okay, and now I'm onto this pair. Next one's going to go here. Okay, so I'm not actually using the pair. So make sure you have your zip ties in the correct way. You want to make sure that you hear that clicking noise, otherwise it's in backwards. Okay, so there's the third one. Okay, so this is, you have a little bit more space, but that's okay. We're going to tighten these. It won't matter that more space between the single hole and the pair than there is between the pairs. So your zip tie is a little wider, but that's okay. All right, so you're gonna continue that all the way around, okay? So, and I'll show you how to fold the petal in a minute, but I already completed 8 petals on row 2. So here's the number 2, okay? So I have 4 to the right of it, 4 petals, and then 4 petals to the left of it, okay? So that's where your red is gonna go, because the way this is gonna be, we're gonna have red, we're gonna have purple, it's gonna be a rainbow design, okay? So here's the top. Again, 4 petals going this way, 4 petals going that way, okay? This is what it looks like on the back, okay? So again, here's where the top is. So as you can see, my zip ties are going, if you wanna think about it, that on the row 2, they're always gonna be in the wider set of holes, not the pairs, okay? So that's gonna be a total of 16. On row 3, you're just gonna use the pairs. So very simple, here's row 3, they're just pairs of holes, and that's what you're gonna use. So there's 8, okay? Row 4, a little bit trickier. Now, basically you're doing every pair of holes and every set of shared holes, which basically means you have 2 zip ties coming from one set of holes, except for the ones that are on, like, if you want to think about it like a clock, 9 and 3. Okay, so you have one at the top, the next, again, you're sharing, so it's going through the same hole twice. Okay, skip 1, and then so it's like 3 and 3 with the ones that directly to the left and right are empty. Okay, so that's a total of 6. And you'll see why we're doing that in a second when we get to the actual design. It makes sense. It seems weird to be skipping holes, but it makes sense when you do this design. So now with this petal, this is a pretty, it's not a difficult petal. It's either, if you want to give it a name, it's the full Rita petal, or it's the pinwheel petal, whatever name you want to call it. But basically it's a petal that has 2 points, and it's, we're going to be using clips in order to make our edges nice and straight. So I'm going to be using purple next. So I'm going to dig out my purple here, and we're going to do 8 petals. So obviously once you get this down, I have to make all the petals on camera. I did not pre-make any, so it'll get a little bit lengthy, but I'll try to fill in the blanks here with some other tips and tricks and things like that. So here's my purple. Again, it's 10 by 10. Mine's pretty flat. I do flatten it with, I put some weights on it after I cut it. So always pay attention to where your factory edges are and your cut edges, because you want all your petals to be the same. So I always start with my factory edges on the top and bottom, cut edges on the 2 sides, and then I always turn it into a diamond shape by turning it just a 1/4 turn to the right. That's just me, the way I always do it. Okay, so I make 1/4 turn. I got my 2 clips, okay? And what I'm gonna do is fold this into a triangle. So I'm gonna take the bottom and fold it up. But for this petal, you want your tips of the petals to be nice and pointy and lined up. So we actually don't care about making this lined up perfectly. We actually want the sides to be lined up perfectly, okay? So I'm going to do that by lining them up and clipping them. So I have a nice crisp point on both sides, just like this. Okay, so there's my triangle. It doesn't line up. Probably can't really see, but it does not line up, and that's okay, because what I'm going to do is scrunch to this point, and you're not going to see it at all. So starting at the middle of the bottom, okay, and just kind of follow your finger down. Where's the middle of the bottom? You're just going to scrunch just like this, okay, till you have kind of like a little bow tie sort of looking thing, okay. Then for me, just because I'm right-handed, I always sort of turn it, and then what you're going to do is bring the 2 sides together and pinch down at the bottom, just like this, okay? Now, when you're doing this, you do want to take a look at your 2 tips and make sure that they're the same height, because otherwise your wreath's going to look messy, okay? So that looks good there. Okay, you can always just readjust where you pinched in case it's not even. Now, with this petal, hopefully I don't lose, well, I'm going to put it in the board and then I'll show you what I'm talking about here. The way I folded that petal, I have on the right side I have a factory edge on the top, and on this left side I have the cut edge on the top. These do overlap a little bit. I want the factory edge to always be on the top, so it kind of hides where the cut edge is on the top. So that's why I'm putting them in this particular order. You don't have to do that. I just like my petals to be nice and neat. And if I can, hide the cut edges as much as possible because they might fray. So again, you have your poly burlap 10 by 10, curls just a little bit. So I do have a curl side up, but it is pretty flat since I flattened it. Factory edges, cut edges, quarter turn to the right. We're gonna fold it into a triangle, but we're gonna line up those corners just like so. Okay, and then flatten it out there. Oops, I got all stuck together. Okay, so again, if it doesn't line up at the top, it's okay. Find the center of the bottom and scrunch. And then bring your two sides together. So I'm holding it here. Okay, and then I'm just turning it this way so that I can grab it with my right hand here when I bring those two sides together. Make sure that they're lined up, and then pinch, move your clips, put it in your board. Okay, and so on. So it's going to be the same petal for the entire wreath. Once you have the process down, you can certainly skip ahead if you'd like. If not, you can follow along with me, and we'll go from there. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. And you can also find me on other social media, including Facebook, and I'm also on Instagram, Pinterest, and TikTok. So my business name is Carrie's Wreath Creations, and you can find me at that handle on all of those platforms I mentioned. I've been making wreaths since, let's see, since fall of 2020, I suppose, I think. I'm trying to remember. And I used to make all different types of wreaths. Lots of ribbon wreaths with the deco mesh and things like that. And I also used to do some grapevines. And then I got into the poly burlap flowers, and I kind of never looked back. These are my favorite to make. I find that they're unique enough that, you know, you go to a craft show or you tell people, oh, I make wreaths, and then if I show them what I make, usually people haven't seen those before. Something a little new and different. You know, I know things like door hangers are really popular, like wooden door hangers. This is a nice alternative to that because a lot of people like the door hangers since they're sort of minimal. They're flat, so if you have a storm door, they fit, and so your flowers can be exactly the same way. I do make most of my flowers relatively flat so that they do fit if you have a storm door. So that's a little about me. I've been on Etsy since shortly after I started making wreaths. I think it was maybe February of 2021, I guess, that I started on Etsy. And my Etsy store name is Carrie's Wreath Co. So it's a little different than my business name on the social media and here on YouTube, just because I limited in the number of characters you can use in an Etsy shop. So if you're thinking of starting one, make sure you're aware of that, because that's the only reason I couldn't use the same name on everything. So it's Carrie's Wreath Co. C-O at the end of that. And again, you can check out my, if you check the description box below, you're going to see things like affiliate links. So I am an affiliate for Unique in the Creek, where they sell the boards and they sell lots of other great supplies, the poly burlap, pretty much everything you need to make wreaths. They're a very supportive community. If you've not joined, they have a Facebook group called Unique Wreath Creators, and it's a very supportive community. Lots of great sharing of ideas and things like that. So this is the last one going in, my 8th purple. Now with that, when I put this last one in, I do need to make an adjustment on this petal right here, because again, the factory edge, the right side is always on the top. So I just need to swap these around very carefully, just like that, okay? And now I'm gonna go ahead and use my zip tie gun. So again, I am also an Amazon affiliate. I have a lot of supplies in there, my Amazon shop, including the zip tie gun. So basically it's got this little space in here where there's these little teeth kind of, and you put the zip tie right there in that space. And when you pull the trigger once, it tightens. And when you pull, so see, it's not cut yet. Okay, when I pull the trigger now a second time, it cuts it. Okay, so it's nice and tight. You don't have to mess around with, see that one, it didn't even have to be pulled twice because I pulled it tight enough the first time. A lot of these I end up pulling tight enough with my fingers. I know some people, if you don't have the hand strength, you end up having to, you know, I see people use pliers and all kinds of things. This is just one tool that I really like that gets the job done for me. Okay, so that was row 2. All right, so it's 8 red, 8 purple. Here's the top, okay? Now we're gonna do orange against the red. So I'm actually gonna start here. And so you're gonna do, it's gonna be 4. So here's the number 3. Here's one pair, here's the next pair. That's where I'm gonna start. And the reason I'm doing that is partly because I'm right-handed and partly because I want these petals to go in the same way that the last row did. So I just know the way I'm folding them. I want the factory edge, it's gonna be on the right-hand side. And so this is gonna let me put them all in without having to adjust the petals. So again, here is, sorry, I returned it a little bit. Here's the number 3. So not this pair, but this one right here is where I'm gonna start. So it's at, basically it's kind of diagonal from the, well, that's not really a good way to describe it. It's like at 2 o'clock. No, that's not right either. No, that's right. About 2 o'clock is where that one is at. Okay, so we're doing orange against my clips. As big as my table seems to be, I always end up running out of room a little bit, so now I'm kind of a little farther away from you, but again, the petal fold is the same. See, I don't even bother like putting it into a triangle first. I just go right for those corners and clip them. So if you're new to the flowers, this petal, I mean, it's not difficult, I don't think. But, you know, some people really struggle with the cutting of the material, the wood burning part of it. And if that's you, you know, you can make your life a little simpler by, oops, I got this piece of felt that, sorry. You can make your life a little easier by check out my petal folding videos, okay? And there are some petals that you can fold that you don't have the cut edge showing at all. So you could technically get away with not wood burning if you didn't want to. I still do, even with those petals that don't have any cut edges showing, because I don't know, I'm just out there in my garage with my mask on cutting, and I just like the clean look. And a lot of times I cut pieces ahead of time and I don't even know what I'm making yet, so I just get a lot of cutting done all at once. But you know, you just check out those videos, check out those designs, because you might find that that's something that will be very helpful for you. Even you can even mix and match petals. So if you know, it gives your wreath a little bit different look if you mix and match petals. And maybe you're like, okay, I'm willing to try a petal with the cut edges showing, but I just don't want to do like, you know, I mean, most wreaths you need about, I think the smallest amount of petals you can get away with is like maybe 24 on a small board. And I'm just thinking about a very simple design using rows 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, definitely look into those videos where there's some different petals that don't show any cut edges. So that might be up your alley. And yeah. So this is the last orange. It's just the 4 orange, and they're the one, it's going right against that red. Again, we're doing a rainbow design. Go ahead and cut these off. And I'm gonna do blue. The royal blue is going against the purple. So let me pull those out. Okay. And another thing you might want to think about with the different petal folds and if you're struggling with cutting using the wood burning tool, you know, if you're familiar with poly burlap, not all poly burlap is the same like texture or consistency. I'm not sure what you want to call it. I always buy it online. I get it from either Unique in the Creek or I buy from Craft Outlet pretty often. The Wreath shop, Deco Exchange, Mel's Crafty Mojo are some other places I've bought from. Trendy Tree. And it's always the same brand. There's not really like a brand name. It just is a roll and it says poly burlap, and that's what it always looks like when it comes from those places. But sometimes you get rolls, they're just not quite the same. Like it's either really soft or it's really stiff. Sometimes there's slight color variations. And this is not at all to talk you out of buying poly burlap. I mean, it's an expensive product, but it makes, it's really great for flower style wreaths because it's stiff, it holds the petal shape nice, you know. So but anyways, sometimes like if I get a roll that's like really just maybe it just feels really soft and thin, or maybe the weave is really crooked, because sometimes that happens too, where these little boxes are like, sometimes the lines in there are really crooked. I will save those pieces, that particular roll, for when I do a different style petal where it's either going to sort of hide the wonky weave or it's going to hide, because a lot of times when it's that softer poly burlap, it tends to fray no matter what you do. I will save my frayed pieces specifically for when I do wreaths with those certain petals that don't show the cut edges, because they're going to be hidden anyways. So it's, you never gotta, don't throw them out. If you got fraying happening, you got, sometimes even the factory edge is like wonky looking, where it's not, you know, super tightly woven like this one is. Don't think of it as a loss. Just save it for when you do a wreath with a different style petal. Now, once again, over here, this was my last blue. This is the factory edge here. I'm gonna tuck this behind and this on top. Okay, and cut these off. So we're down to our last 6 petals. And again, we're not doing, a lot of times if you watch any of my other videos, I always do 8 petals on row 4. I use every pair and every set of shared holes. I am not going to do that here because if you did, you get this weird, like there's either going to be too many, it just, how do I want to say it? It doesn't look right, because on one, here's the top right here. Okay, this is the top. You would have like yellow, 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 and then you would have green. So there would be like a yellow and a green across from each other when it should be a straight line. So I'm just eliminating those whole set of holes on each side so I don't have that. Now you might be worried or thinking like, well, won't there be a hole that you can see when you add the center? The answer is no. Okay. I probably wouldn't do any fewer petals than what I'm doing. Like I said, I usually do 8, but you can get away with 6. So again, here's the top. And so the yellow is going against the orange. The green is going to go against the blue. I'm going to start here. Okay. So again, here's the number 3, or here's the number 4, easier. Okay. I'm just going to the next one to the right, and that's where I'm starting. Again, just continuing with my pattern of how I'm putting these onto the board, so that my factory edges are going to be on the right-hand side, and I can just keep adding petals in this counterclockwise order that I'm going in. So now, like I was just saying about not all the poly burlap being the same, this yellow is a lot softer than the orange and the blue. Really, all of them. Everything is pretty stiff. The yellow is a little bit just different texture, and it's not because it's yellow, because I've had yellow that's very stiff. It's just this roll. Okay. So get this. So yeah, definitely check out those videos with the other petal folds where you don't see the cut edge. I do not use a lot of deco mesh or really any other types of material besides the poly burlap in my flower wreaths. I also have gotten away, unless it's really an emergency, I do not use the stuff from Michael's or Hobby Lobby. So there is a poly burlap type product that they sell there, maybe even Joann's too, I'm not sure. At Hobby Lobby, it's usually called soft poly mesh, I think. Is it soft? I might have a roll of it. Let me see what it says on the label. Yeah, I do. Nope, that's, yeah. This is Hobby Lobby. It says soft poly mesh. This is probably, I think this is Michael's, and it's this Celebrate It, and it says poly burlap mesh. Okay, so I would not, first of all, I'm not promoting these products. I would not buy these because this is $10.99 right here, and you only get 6 yards. Okay, you can get for $10.99. Yes, you have to pay tax and shipping, but if your order's big enough, you get free shipping. You can get a whole roll of poly burlap with 10 yards. This is only 6. This is only 19 feet, and this was probably $10 too. So it's not a good deal. And the product is not as good. You will be very upset because you'll be working with your wood burner and you're gonna have fraying and you're gonna be mad. So I don't recommend that stuff. In a pinch, it's fine. For a few petals, it's fine. If that's really all you have access to and you're just really, really, really not wanting to pay shipping prices, I would just really encourage you, even if you're a craft outlet, the minimum, I think it's $69 to get free shipping. I just wait till I have a big enough order and I never pay shipping. Now, of course, you always pay shipping because it's built into the price somewhere else. But that's what I do. For this wreath is not super cost effective, I'll be honest with you, because you do need, 6 colors, and like this emerald green and the yellow, you're only using 3 pieces. I will tell you that this wreath was a bestseller kind of at the end of May, beginning of June for Pride Month. And so it was well worth it for me to buy 6 rolls of all different color mesh in order to be able to make this wreath and make multiples of it. So just something to keep in mind. Plus, they're all nice colors and can be used for other things. I mean, the red is good for, you can use red in fall, you can definitely Christmas. Orange and yellow are good for fall. I make a lot of sunflowers in the summer, so I always need yellow. The royal blue is nice for to have on hand for patriotic season. And then purple's good for, it's a nice accent color. Purple is my favorite color, so I use purple in a lot of my things that I make for my own house. Last piece. Okay. And I appreciate it if you've stuck with me and watched all the way along and listened to me chat with you, but hope you've heard some good things that are going to help you on your wreath making journey. Okay, last one. So I'll show you when I get this one in here. Okay. There's really not overlap here because, again, we skipped a set of holes, but just again, for consistency, I'm making sure this with the factory edges on top. Okay, let me clip these off. Okay, so because of this petal and the way it lays, you have a little bit of, pick this up. You have like a tiny bit of space here where you don't have a petal, but it's not a gaping hole. You can just sort of like spread these out a little bit, okay? and it's going to be fine. Okay, we're going to put our center in. Here's our center. It's going to cover all of that. This is just for half of a 4-inch styrofoam ball. I do buy these in bulk on Amazon. Okay, and then again, the corded rope was, it's just a flat white corded rope, and that was purchased at Hobby Lobby. You can certainly get it other places too. I just have I stocked up a lot, so I have a lot of it. This wreath I also offer with a burlap, like a brown jute rope center, as well as a white sparkly center. So this customer chose this, the white rope. So you have some options for adding your center. Now the Unique in the Creek boards, the small boards never used to have these 2 center holes, but now they do, which is really nice because that's perfect place to put your pipe cleaner through for your center. If you didn't have that, if maybe you have like an old stash of boards, just put it through an opposite set of holes. Okay, so again, my pipe cleaner is attached here with a floral pin and some hot glue. And I'm just gonna feed that through, kind of make sure that that works, because I'm gonna pull it really tight, so I want the petals to all be laying the way I want them to, so they don't get crunched too much. Okay, so flip this over. Okay, just pull it tight. I'm gonna give it a couple of good twists. Okay, you got a lot of extra here. What I normally do, just kind of for some extra security, I feed that through a zip tie, okay? And then I come back and go around, kind of like that. And just kind of securing it in there as much as I can. And then I'll just stick this extra back through the holes until it's flat. You can, excuse me, you can cut it off too if you want, whatever your deal is, but anything so it's nice and flat, okay? And then the last thing I'm gonna do is add my hanger. I always use fish line. You can use jute twine or another pipe cleaner or zip tie. I always use this. It holds 30 pounds, so this is not going anywhere. I don't know how big of a piece I need. I guess I think I usually do about 18 inches. I don't really usually measure. And then just cut that off until I have my piece. And then on your board, you do technically have 2 hanging holes. Now the red is going on the top, as I've been showing you all along. So if you go on the back here, here's the top. Here's the Unique in the Creek logo. This is the top, and there are these 2 spare holes here. That's where you're gonna put your hanger. You can, since we didn't use row 1, you can put it through that pair of holes at the top. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna go ahead and use the actual hanging holes. Because if you did have a petal there in that pair, you might not wanna go through the same set of holes with your hanger. You could, but you don't have to. And then I'm just going to put a knot in this. I'm off camera. You can't see that I'm knotting this at the end here. Oops. Okay, just a basic knot. Pull that tight. Okay, so now it can hang. And there's my completed wreath. Whoops. All right. Thank you for joining me today. And again, please check out my, check out the description box for all those links that I mentioned earlier, affiliate links and where I get my supplies, all my social media, and be sure to subscribe to my page so you can stay up to date with new videos as they become available. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Take care.